Hey friends, I want to talk about something different. I'm not going to talk about ministry stuff, although I will tell you that Jesus loves you, God cares for you, and God's got a plan for your life. I want to talk to you today about fairness. I want to ask you something. You see what's going on with all the election stuff. I'm not going to hear toot horns about one side or the other, but I want to ask a question. We're in 2020? Why don't we have fair elections? Think about that. Why? Well, because the states decide the elections. Well, if we live in the freest country in the world, why don't we have rules or laws in place that guarantee that we have fair elections? Why? You got to ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that. I asked myself about that. I want you to look at a couple of things. Here's how it works. Every human organization or endeavor requires accountability. Let me explain. Think of your family. The father, the mother, the children requires, in order to have a peaceful, healthy family, what do you have to be? You have to be accountable to each other. In other words, mother and father are the heads. They head the family, and the children have to do what the parents say. And this is called order. This is how every human endeavor and organization operates. You can look at the government. How do we have fair government? Well, we have accountability. Everybody's accountable to each other, right? Think about your communities. We have laws. We have rules, laws that we all have to live by. When we have to be accountable to, right? Okay, think about your church or your church. A successful church, it's ordered. There's orderliness about it, because God is the God of order and is not the author of confusion. What I see in this election, I just see so much confusion. Have you thought about that? Well, where does that confusion comes from? It's not God. It's not God. Okay, so accountability is part of what it means to be human. In order for our societies to work, for our families to work, in order for your business to work, is another endeavor that requires accountability. You got to be accountable to your boss. You got to be accountable to each other. Okay, so accountability is a necessary ingredient for any human endeavor. Now, let's transition. What is an election? An election is an endeavor, an organized endeavor to vote on who you want to be leader of your nation or your community or whatever. So what does that require? It requires accountability. We all have to be accountable to rules and laws in order to have a successful, or let's call it a fair, election. So every election has rules in place to follow to guarantee fairness. Well, how do we let people in our society dictate breaking those rules or creating new rules that create unfairness? Why do we allow that? Why do we allow that? That's not being accountable. That's being dishonest. And that's exactly what we got here. We got groups of people or states. First of all, we have on the national level, we had organizations that were pushing for this, mail-in, COVID mail-in. See, we allow these people in our society to trick others into doing stuff that looks good on the surface. Oh, we have COVID. We have to have mail-in ballots. We gotta accommodate those people. When the reality is, if you want to have a fair election, you can't let the deceivers trick you, because they're going to take that and make it an unfair election so that they can exploit and cheat with. Let me explain. To have a fair election, it requires you got to stick to some strict rules. Like, for example, the perfect election is this: one vote for one person. And the vote has to be done in person. It has to be witnessed. Okay? So the perfect election is one vote, one person. And so when this person shows up at the voting place, this person has to show their ID. The voter people have to look at your face, look at your ID, say, yes, this is the person. They can also they can ask you to sign something, and then they can check your signature with the signature on your ID, and you have that. You can ask for multiple identification. You get one vote for one person. That way, when you have an election, you know it's honest. You know you got one vote for one person, and you have to show up. So nobody else, you can't vote twice. You can't have dead people vote. You have to vote from your ID, so your ID will show where you live, so you could only vote in your little jurisdiction. So you can't have people from other states coming in and voting. You can't have dead people voting. You can't be voting 18 times or more. So why don't we make these as requirements in our election? Why? Why? Why do we let these deceitful people trick us to allow for cheating? Why? Why? I tell you why. Because men are cheaters. They're liars. There's people amongst us that cheat. And they need to cheat. And they'll do anything to cheat to get into power. So, as a free people, we need to stand up for election rules and tell enough is enough. We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let you trick us into allowing for mail-in ballots. We're not going to allow it. Now, I'm going to put a side note. Of course, you have to have stipulations for mail-in ballots. We have service people overseas, and they should be able to vote. But there's an easy way to fix that too. It's real easy. You can fix it. What you can do is you can just say, look, you can vote overseas, but you're going to have to request a vote. You're going to have to request the government to send you a voting ballot. And it only comes through request. And when we send the ballot, it has to come from an official, one centralized location that issues the ballot. And we can do that. We can do that. And we can mark the ballots to make sure it's like put a what do you call them, watermark or some kind of mark on it where it can't be counterfeited. And so we can do that. And then when we get the vote from a mail-in, and the only way that they can get the ballot is that they have to send evidence of their ID, who they are, where they live. You check where they live, you check what their ID says, and you confirm that the information is true. And if you can't confirm it's true, you can't send them the ballot. And so we just make sure that the rules for mail-ins are very strict. And you only allow for people overseas, or maybe some elderly that are in a nursing home. Someone in the family can handle all that, but they got to show ID. They got to show proof of address. So we just make rules that require mail-in ballots to be fair. And that way we guarantee we have a fair election. Think how stupid. Think of the little stupid trap we just fell into. There was a group of people in our country that tricked everybody into believe that this mail-in thing was a good thing. Think how stupid we are. Why did we allow that? Why did we allow these people to trick us? Now look what we got. What you're going to find out, I don't know for sure. But I believe what you're going to find out, there are literally millions, not thousands, literally millions of illegal ballots that were turned in. Watch. You just watch. And then they're going to play this little violin sad song. Everybody's vote counts. Everybody's vote counts. And you say, no, everybody's vote doesn't count. Illegal votes do not count. No, they don't. One vote for one citizen. You say, but what about all illegal immigrants? You hate illegal immigrants. You're a racist. No. I love illegal immigrants. They just can't vote. Because voting is for citizens. It's for legal citizens. That's the only way we can have a fair society, that we have legal citizens. Illegal, if you're not a citizen, you're not allowed to vote. That's how it is in every other country in the world. Every other country. So all you millennials, you need to wake up. They're tricking you. And because of your stupidity, my stupidity, they're creating situations like we have today. We have a disaster election that just took place. There's literally millions, I'm telling you. Now, I'm telling you, there's millions of illegal ballots. You watch. Just watch. I mean, even if there's thousands, I've already heard nightmare scenarios. 130,000 votes dropped in one place at one moment in time. I heard the people that are doing the counterfeit ballots are getting paid $55,000 for every 5,000 votes that they generate. That's how much money they're getting paid. I just saw that on a video. And this is a legitimate guy. I see this guy all the time. He tells the truth. They found that was the going rate. $55,000 for 5,000 votes. If we as Americans do not put rules in place to guarantee fair elections, and if we do not stop letting these deceptive people in government and all over trick us into believing that they know what they're doing, and we allow them to break rules that should be universal rules in every state. Every state should have the same rules. Every state. There's certain minimum rules you got to set in each state. And there should be a threshold. If you do not meet these rules, you can't have a fair election. We've got to put our foot down and say, we demand fair elections. What do we got this thing. I saw this guy, they interviewed the guy the other day. This guy, he's on the team. They call it the team. And the team decides what the state determines who won. The team does. Well, of course, at some point in the election, you have to make a decision. No, you don't. Where did you come up with that? Where did you come up with that? How about this, Mr. Team member? How about we just count the damn votes? How about that? Count the votes and then report to the community, this was the vote count. How about that? How about that? The polls close at 8. We announce the vote. Once we finish counting the votes, they end it. They have to be finished by a certain, you say, within a day they have to be finished. They have to be finished. The counting has to be finished within a day or whatever. We figure out the best way to do that. And you say at that time, we announce the votes. And if there's still votes that are not counted, too bad. You got to throw those out and you tell them, this is what we came up with. Just stick to the rules. Without keeping rules and sticking to the rules, you cannot have fair elections. Why can't everyone understand this? Why are you lying to yourself? Quit lying to yourself. Demand fair elections. Demand fair rules for voting. There's no reason in the world you can't have a fair election. But there's people that are going to lie to you and tell you, oh, we have to have this. Oh, we have to have that, to get you to, like, they're just trying to put a little spell on you. You got to do it this way. Oh, what about these people? Every vote counts. And I heard the term the other day. It's called political witchcraft. That's what's going on in our country. They put a spell on you to believe that they're looking out for your best interest when they're putting a spell on you. It's like witchcraft. They're making something look like it's good when it's not. It's something they're going to use to exploit our country. And that's exactly what these people have done. Okay, now, having said that about the election, there was something critical I wanted to talk. I already forgot. Without fair elections, every country's doomed. You're going to end up with a banana republic. You're going to end up with a banana republic. How do you think it goes in these third world countries? There's cheating all the time. In America, if we do not shore this up, we are going to not only screw our country up, we're going to screw the whole world up, because the whole world's counting on America to have fair elections. We cannot allow criminals to steal elections. We can't do it. You cannot allow that. And how do you prevent it? Just make the rules and stick to the rules. It's not hard having fair elections. It's not hard. It's not hard. Now, these people that are the political witchcraft people, they can look so nice and say all the right things. But let me tell you, the litmus test. Find out what their rules are in their elections and what they're doing. You're going to see real quick whether they're nice people or not. The devil is so nice, says all the right things. You're going to see by looking at their rules. Just look at the rules. What kind of rules do you have? Do you allow mail-in ballots? Oh yeah, we allow this, we allow that. Where do you get your mail-in ballots? Well, our state decides we're going to print up a bunch and turn them in. It's like, whoa, hey, where did they print them at? I mean, you got to ask these questions. And if their rules are all messed up, you'll know you got one corrupt little place. And I can tell you, based on what I know about Pennsylvania, that's one corrupt state. Right there. There's all kind of funny business going on there. There's kind of funny business going on in Michigan too, in Detroit. All kind of funny stuff going on there. All kind of funny stuff. It ain't funny anymore. It ain't funny. It's sad. It's destructive. It's destroying the integrity of our nation. Without fair elections, you have no integrity in your nation. You have to have fair elections. If you don't, you can kiss your republic and democracy goodbye. That's it. That's it. We got to get this thing right. If we don't get it right, we're going to lose the country. And I can tell you right now, what we have on our hands here is the biggest disaster in the history of our country in terms of elections. I think we're going to find out stuff you will have no idea how bad it's going to be. I mean, I don't know for sure because I don't know. I've seen little pockets where we went, oh, they're doing that? Well, of course they're going to have cheating. Of course. And so there's stuff, it's going to be a disaster, an utter disaster. They're going to have to solve this through the courts. It's a mess. It's a mess. Just based on what I've seen. And you say, some guy said to me, you have to show us proof of your accusations. Look, I'm no dummy. I'm no dummy to know when one side files a lawsuit and says, hey, you're supposed to allow us to watch and observe the votes and you're not allowing us to blank in. I'm no dummy to know, wait a minute. Yeah, why isn't the other side letting them in? You don't have to have all the evidence to show that, to know that's cheating right there. And if you think you have to have specific details and evidences to pass, multiples of evidence to pass that, that's simple. And then the other side, when the judge says, yeah, he's right, you've got to allow them to watch, and then the judge says, yeah, you have to allow them to watch, and then they don't agree with it, and then the side that's being wrong files a lawsuit, and the judge says, yeah, we say you have to allow them to watch, and then the other side appeals the decision of the judge. It doesn't take a brain scientist to know that why are they fighting that? It's about fairness. The rules will dictate fairness. The rules will embed fairness in the election. And if anybody's fighting against fairness, that tells you right there there's something wrong. So don't let these people yak and talk to you into believing that they're doing the right thing and helping us have fair every election. Every person's allowed to vote. No, not every person's allowed to vote. Only citizens are allowed to vote. You don't care for illegal immigrants. No, I care for illegal immigrants. They're just not allowed to vote. That's a rule. You have to have rules. Every society has to have accountability and rules in order for it to function properly. America, you got to wake up. You can't keep sleeping. You can't let these people tell you they're looking after your own good when they're lying to you so that they can take advantage of you and us, all of us. Quit letting them cheat. What they do is they make these rules up. They have states that have changed rules right before the election. Why are we allowing that? They changed the rules right up to the end of the election. What does that tell you? You don't need any evidence. They changed the rules so that they can cheat. We've been duped. We've been duped. These people that are in office, they're cheating. They're not giving us a fair election. I saw a guy the other day. He was the team that decides what the election results are late in the night. They decide who wins, that team. And he said, well, we never intend to be wrong. What does that tell you? It tells you they're controlling the results, not the vote count. The vote count should determine the results, not the team. The team that calls the winner. Wake up. Wake up. They've been doing this for years. Wake up, America. Wake up. They're cheating. They've been doing this for years. The team is calling the results. Doesn't that disturb you? Why not just count the votes and let the votes determine the results? But first of all, you got to have one vote for one person in person, and then minimal mail-in votes. But the mail-in's got to be under strict guidelines. No cheating allowed with watermarks. No counterfeit ballots. You got to enforce it. We got to all stand up for that. Agree that. Now, what did I say that was wrong? Now, you millennials and you people, he doesn't care for. He's a racist. No. What did I say that was racist? What I just said was fairness. We have to demand fairness. And fairness only takes place when you establish fair rules for voting. They have to be fair so that we're all accountable to each other. Without accountability, we're going to lose our country. We must be accountable to each other. And in an election process, we must maintain strict, fair rules and have them in place for every state where there's no wiggle room for cheating. We can't allow for cheating. Can you see that? Now, why would you disagree with me? And if you're disagreeing with me, I got a big final note here. You've heard the mark of the beast, right? You've heard the mark of the beast? Well, that's coming to the world. I believe the Lord showed me this. He told me this, and I'm going to put it in words because He didn't speak to me in words. He just made me know this. He said, Greg, everybody that thinks that this is a fair election, they are set up. Many of them have already are positioned to receive the mark of the beast. Because and the ones that have not received the mark of the beast yet, they are setting themselves up to receive the mark of the beast. He goes, only the ones who ask questions, where truth is important to them, are the ones who are still living in truth. They're still living in truth. There's still hope for them. And they're going to be able to see clearly enough to make right decisions that will lead them out of the beast system. But everyone else, see, as you can tell, I'm a Christian. And the truth asks questions. I'll tell you today, I am a conspiracy theorist. And you have to look up what the definition of conspiracy is. Conspiracy is nothing more than a truth seeker generating theories as to what actually happened in a situation. Because what a conspiracy theorist hears something and says, hey, something's wrong here. That doesn't register to me as truth. And then they begin to generate theories. Okay, what could this be? Why could this be doing this? Conspiracy theorists are truth seekers. And I encourage you to be a conspiracy theorist. You start seeking for truth. Because if you're waiting for these people to start telling you the truth, you are going to be one confused, disoriented person. These people that are running things, they're not telling the truth. That's why they keep telling you this, to make these new rules up, and then that's how they can get in there and change the election. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. The litmus test. Don't be a dummy. Don't believe what people tell you. Use your brain. Use your thoughts. In order to have a fair election, you need to have fair rules in place wherever it is, and you need to stick to the rules and don't bend the rules, don't change the rules, stick to those rules. Then you'll have a fair election. All right, I'm signing off.